Oh, welcome to another Land Rover video. I'm in the middle of filming a Land Rover video, so I thought I'd film a Land Rover video whilst I'm filming another Land Rover video. At the moment, I have this all up on axle stands, so all the wheels can turn because I'm demonstrating the drivetrain. But I thought it might be a good day to fit an easy oil drain valve and do an oil change, given that this thing has not had one for nearly a year, although granted it hasn't driven very far. But it's time to do one anyway. So let's crawl under, pull the oil plug out and fit one of these things in. Now before I drain the fluids, I like to just check that I've got everything first. I'm not doing the fuel filter today, and I like to use Donaldson if I can. But down here we can see my Donaldson oil filter, which are hard to get. And that is a 550 422 or a P550 422. Normally I'd get a Donaldson, but I don't have one on hand and I can't get one in at short notice. So I have a Z419 and a Z22. I don't think I've got the right ones here. I think I need a Z412 from Ryco to fit that. Alright, we're underneath. One of the main gripes I have about this is the drain plug facing the drive shaft here. Yeah, bit of a pain in the rear because it hits that and sprays everywhere. Also, I put an extended grease nipple in here to help things out. But while I've got this up, I might as well grease all the drive shafts too, because I can spin all these things around. I'll do that. Now, we need to get that out, somehow catch everything in the bucket, which is probably going to stay in the nice white concrete. It happens. And then we'll put our valve in. Alright, now I hope the camera can see what we're doing, because I can't see the viewfinder. Now my wading plug is in too, and I notice that there's a bit of a drip around that. So I will inspect that at some point. But right now, we want to make sure we catch this oil as it comes out. Hold it in till we feel the thread skip, and then out we go. Oh, we might have got lucky today. The viscosity is low enough that it's not hitting the uni joint. I probably couldn't have done that any better, I don't think. Now we'll check our wading plug up there, which I can't get with all my hands knotted up like this. Okay, I've got the wading plug loosened. I had to get a 15/16 socket. Now, we are draining just a little bit of oil out of here, which is always going to be the case. But we need to put this back in before we can take the wading plug out. Now this has a little O-ring on it, and once we get this in, should be good. Now I think that is off. It's good. Now we need a spanner of an appropriate size, which I should have checked. Now 22 is probably about a millimeter too big, so Knipex to get the rest of it the way. Okay, we got it in, and we've got the valve open now just to let it drip that last little bit out. I do have a flexi hose and a little hose barb that can screw into this, so when I'm doing this next time I can just run a pipe straight in. So let's see what's under this now. We'll shut this off for a minute. Use our rag that soaked up the spill. Let's pull this over and hopefully not tip it over. Let's see what comes out of our wading plug. Need to check this regularly. Hopefully there shouldn't be more than just a dribble in here. Where are we? Yep, just a dribble. Pretty normal. Let that drain out. Come on. I'll give that a couple of minutes because it is cold. Okay, now some of you might be concerned about knocking this off the oil pan and draining all your oil out. I agree, that is a definite risk, and if you got something stuck up under the drive shaft here, a bit of fencing wire, something like that, yeah, sure, that would definitely cause a problem. I'm not doing quite that much hardcore stuff, and I have multiple sclerosis, so laying on my back gives me constant head spins. If I'm going to continue doing my own oil, I need to do something like this. So in the 6B, it's a little bit further away, but yeah, I'm careful about how I drive. However, by the time something gets stuck in there, it's got to get past all of this and all of this, so you're going to have some pretty major problems by the time you get to that. One thing I will do is put a buzzer across the oil pressure light, So if I do ever lose oil, it can buzz at me and let me know first. Alright, now we're going to get the oil filter off, which is in an uncomfortable spot that you can't even get a camera into. Okay, we got it moving with the strap wrench. Now, I think I've got my bucket roughly in the right spot. It should be finger tight now. These things always spew oil everywhere because they're upside down. And this hose gets in the way. Can we go? Yes, I think we drained most of the oil filter this time. Good-o. Okay, I found a Ryco equivalent. Hopefully this should work. And I got some more gear oil as well. I had to Google search this. I can't get out of the box one-handed. Let's have a look. So oil seal's a smaller diameter than this one, but I reckon the thread pitch is wrong. I don't think that's going to fit. I'm going to get my calipers out. Yeah, these are clearly the wrong sizes. They're not going to fit. Alright, my neighbours have got some music going at the moment, so to deal with that. So we are, how wide are we? It's about 23 mil. Let's check the top of the other one. If I was to bring that out to there, it'll be about 20 mil. So definitely not the right filter. Okay, so update, the spare Z419 I have fits. I think I'm going to chuck that on there. Looks like the O-ring just fell off it too. So we'll put that one on for now. Should at least get us somewhere so we can get the right one. Alright, neighbours have turned the music up again. That's nice of them. Anyway, we're going to prime this with some Castrol GTX 15W40. And the problem we have with this is that when we turn this upside down, it's going to leak everywhere. So we still have our oil drain bucket right below where we took the filter off. And I'll do one other thing that helps make life just a little easier here. Just run just a light bead of oil around the O-ring. Right. Here we go. Here we go. Flip as quick as we can. Good, drained into the bucket. That's good. I think that is comfortably tight. Alright. See how we go here. Yep, I'll check that it isn't. Just dropped my strap wrench down between the radiator. Right, I forgot. Over near the junk pile there is my check sheet. I got to check what the K's are on this one. What am I up to? 150,317. So let's put that down on the sheet. So it is 150,317. Last time I did it, it was 146,650. That was in 22. So what have we done here? About 4,000 Ks in 2 years. So yeah, but it hasn't had an oil change in about a year. So it's probably had an oil change annually. I think I did it last year. So it's had about 2,000 Ks. Sometimes you just can't video anything without these guys wanting to get involved. Can you swing a spanner, dude? It'll be really handy. Okay, let's get our oil filler out. Does this one unscrew? Or is this a pop-out one? It's a pop-out one. Okay, gonna regret trying this without a funnel, I guess, but this is a half bottle of oil, so we're going to use our existing open bottle first. Get a couple of litres out of that before we open a new one. Alright, funnel for the new one. I had to go find it and clean it. Castrol's had a change of bottle design. They've got a white one now. Take our lid off, get our grease out of the way, and we need to punch a hole in this one. Alright. Well, I know this is going to take about 8 litres based on what come out of it. So we're going to just let that filter through for a minute. I'm going to check our dipstick. And it hasn't quite come through yet. Well, I've let it sit for a couple of minutes. I found a cleaning rag. So let's do this. Sun's reflecting off the glasses, so I can't quite see some things. Alright. Not touching the bottom of the dipstick yet. see, we are bang on the high mark. Exactly on. I don't need to add any more to that. This is where I pump into the oil bottle and tip it over. Right, and also delivery from Cyprus showed up. Now, oil filter's not completely full, so when I turn this over and run it, it'll probably empty the what's-a-majigger. The oil will come down a tiny bit to make up for that loss in oil. So we'll run it in a moment, test it, make sure it's getting oil pressure, and we'll do a couple other little things. Right, time to check her out. Check her in neutral, handbrake's off. Doesn't really matter, we're on axle stands anyway. And we need to turn away here while I flick some switches in correct order here. Okay, wipers are on, turn them off. Now we're going to watch for oil pressure, which is this light here. We want to see oil pressure come up and go out. If it doesn't, we're going to shut it. There we go. Alright, we'll pull our idle stop up a little bit now. Let it run for a couple of minutes and we'll see where our oil level's at. I've had it running for a couple of minutes. We'll let it sit, let the oil drop to the bottom again, and we'll top up the difference. While we're waiting for that, we get some oil, some grease in here, and we'll grease all the uni joints while it's easy to do. Right, for those of you who wonder how I keep an eye on gearbox temperature, this is an aquarium temperature sensor I've just jammed in the gap here. It goes back into the dash, gives me an idea of gearbox temp, which is kind of handy. You know, I'm in here complaining about the birds. There's crimson bowerbirds squawking away over the side there. We're going to give a couple of pumps of grease into the UJs. These haven't had it in a while. We're going to pump some into the slip joint. That's one that you can use a lot of grease on. Is there other nipple here poking out the side? Let's bring it around to about here then. That one goes on. Well, I heard a bit of a pop of grease, so that's when you stop. Here's our slip joint. Go on to you. Much easier on axle stands. I might do this next time, you know. Although I do have a mate that I paid for and installed a 2-post hoist in his shed. For the moment, we'll do it this way. That one's pretty good. Okay. Now, if anything's going to stop you in your tracks on the road is a dodgy universal joint. I actually carry a couple of spares of these when I do long trips. Oh, this one's a bit empty. Yeah, there we go. Just started to feel the resistance. Don't pump too much in because you can pop the seals out and that causes problems. Speaking of seals, clearly I have an input shaft seal problem here. That's why I bought some diff oil. I'm probably going to have to top this up. And I think if that's leaking, it might be my diff that's leaking there and not my brakes. But the rear brakes don't work so well, and if the brake drum's full of oil, that might do it. So clearly this rear diff needs some attention, and I'm thinking these suspension points are probably going to need it at some point too. Maybe those things. And right beside my ear I just heard grease pop. So I think this uni joint just had a bit of grease in it. Now I'm not sure if this thing is the handbrake adjuster. I need to find out. It's turning out to be a noisy Tuesday. That's what you get for living around other people, I guess. Let's have a look here. What's our oil level doing here? We look to be right between the high and low. So I'll put just a little bit in. I don't want it too full, but I don't want it to run out if it a little bit leaks. Alright, so I've just finished the rest of this off, which is a 5-litre bottle, and I put about 2.5 litres in out of the other one, so just shy of the 8 litres they reckon is a normal oil change. Advantage of having an oil bleed valve on this is I can just tap a tiny little bit off if I overfill it. I don't have to pull that whole plug out and drain the whole lot. It is kind of handy. Also means if I'm really desperate, I can sample some oil and go and send it off for testing if I ever need to. It does make it a bit more convenient. But yes, I do acknowledge very much, and I mentioned this earlier in the video, there are some risks involved in having such a huge thing hanging out off the side of your oil pan. But I'm not doing the hardcore off-roading stuff. This is my daily driver, so Does do some off-road stuff, but I tend to think first before doing stuff. And of course, as usual, thank you to Grit Mitts for the cleanup. Stuff's top notch. They give it to me for a very good price in exchange for promoting it, but I also approach them, so they get a freebie shout out in the video. Anyway, see you in the next one. Hope it was fun.